Right, back in Tony's garage. As you can see, the side panels off the Royal Alloy, because we're up to part 2 of the Tasso Works performance modification. So you see the air filter, that was part 1 and the remap. I've now got the package from Tasso Works for the Dr Pulley Sliders. That's what we're going to do today. Part 3 will be the Tasso Works performance exhaust. And let me tell you, that is some piece of equipment that is solid. It's a lot heavier than I thought it would be, but looking forward to getting that on as well. So, part 2, Dr Pulley Sliders. Right, so tools. Probably the most important one is the torque wrench before we put everything back together again. We've got a Variator. Tools you're going to need for this job. And boy oh boy, you're going to have to buy the right tools to make it a lot easier, as you'll see in the video. I've actually shot this after the video, so I know which tools I've used. Main one is a torque wrench. On the GP300 it's a 19mm sockets, not 17 like the 125s, small engines. Need a little woggle extension, double woggle extension, not sure what you call them. 8mm deep socket, 30mm spanners, crosshead screwdriver, flat screwdriver to take the cover off, some marker pens to mark up the washers and the bolts in the right order. I use some dry molly spray, you don't really need to use it if you don't want to. Some Loctite for the bolts, the nuts. Eagle beaks do a bit of bending of bracketry, and some homemade tools. Oh, Variator holding tool, which worked to take the Variator nut off but didn't work to put it back on again. Had to make a little tool for that. And a clutch locking tool as well, which you could just use 2 long M10, M8 bolts, but I made a little tool. Obviously the Dr Pulley Sliders. They're the tools I used. I would definitely recommend buying the correct tools for that and that, because it is impossible to do that properly without possibly damaging the fins on the Variator. You'll see in the video. But yeah, get the right tools, whatever you do. Oh, most important tool of all is patience, which I have very little of, as you'll see. Actually, I'll probably cut all that out of the video to make it look like I've done a professional job. We'll see. Right, well, hope you enjoyed this video. It's fun making it. I've done a few Vespers recently and it's been really easy. However, this is in the way on the Royal Alloy. Bit of a shame, but we'll see how it goes. Obviously the first thing would be to take the airbox off, which is 3 bolts. That's already been done, so that's nice and simple. Now we've just got a few bolts around the casing. Casing should come off. And there's a bolt behind there, which if you just very carefully leave it out, that's the one there. That's just hold on by some little rubber grommets. So we'll stick that over there, nice and safe. And we'll get on with these bolts. So we'll just crack them off first. That's a bit of an awkward one. That one. If you have a power driver, be a bit quicker now, but we'll just take these off in order. Right, next is the jump and pulley nut. I've marked it so I know which one it is. This is my homemade clutch holding tool. That just goes in there, and then when the wheel goes round it locks into place. If you don't have one of those, some nice big long M10 bolts, I think, in there would actually do the job. It's about 50 Newton meters of torque. We'll just break that off. That's done that. For ease, I will use the old impact wrench. There's a washer in there as well. Don't lose that washer. Just going to put a little bit of green on the washer, so I know that one belongs to there. Right, one nut, one washer. A little magnet would have pulled that off, I guess, but then I guess this would come off. Right, so that's all loose. We'll take the oil filler dipstick out next. Obviously you don't want to drop anything in here, so the dipstick's got to go back in as soon as possible. Check the level, pretty good. And quite clean, that should be. There's the washer, keep them together. Alright. So that's it. How's it come out? Bit of jiggery pokery. Take the air filter cover off, then the air duct cover off, give it a bit more space. It's just two little screws on the back, the bottom I should say. Might give us a little bit more space. That's just simply a little filter. Air goes through there, keeps the belt cool and the clutch cool. Well, it gives us some more space, but still, oh, not quite enough. Just put a bit of tape over that sharp edge. I'll just take this little bracket off now. 13mm. Bit of a chew on, isn't it? Why isn't that coming out now? What's catching on? Yeah, there's a little bracket underneath. See that bracket there? It's getting in the way and I don't know what that bracket actually does. Well, that's stupid. What stupid design? Can I go forward past it? Or up over? This bracket is just not quite letting it get past, which is absolute pain. So I'm just going to bend that with some eagle beaks. See if it'll come past now. There it is. Just that bracket. Right, first thing I'm going to do is put the dipstick back in. Well, the last thing I want is any rubbish falling in there. I've marked up the Variator pulley retaining nut, or the drive pulley retaining nut. There's not much space, but it's a 19mm socket on there. But if I was just to turn it, this would just turn with everything. So we have a Variator locking tool, which is different to the Vespa locking tool because they're both going in a different area. I don't really want to use the vanes as a a lock. Now this one, again, I'll just show you somehow. There's two little holes, one there and one just there, which the Royal Alloy tool must slip into. So I have to put something in there to lock it. So bear with me while I have a think about it. Right, I'm just going to give a quick little go using this Variator locking tool on the fins, which I don't recommend at all. However, if I get the impact driver in, it'd be great. I'll just spin it round, but I suppose you've got to tighten it as well. So we'll have a go at this, see what happens. Nice long leverage. Right, it's moving. Right, well, that's not how you're supposed to do it, but it did it. That nut now comes off. One nut, one funny shaped washer, which, if you can tell, is beveled. Bevel side needs to be on the outside. Then there's a normal washer, which I'm going to mark up. I've got a bit of blue on there anyway. Might just put a bit more blue on just so I remember it, but that will be done later. Right, fan comes off next. If you look at that, I think telling up, but the ring goes right to the edge, so it's almost flat out. Obviously you don't want to go further than that. Now this is the small washer, which we're actually going to replace with the washer that came in the kit, which is slightly wider, and I'll explain that later on. That's very important. Belt, we can just move out the way for now. Oh, I'll take that all off, it's easy, get everything out of the way. Belt's in really good condition, I expect. Clutch faces are pretty good. Again, I'll give them a scuff up before I put everything back together. Right, this is the Variator with the rollers in. If you can keep everything together with your fingers, brilliant. Not going to be able to. We'll take the boss out first, the sleeve. I'll bring this out a bit easier. Try and keep everything together. Alright, there's the Variator, there's the slider, and there are the rollers. I'm going to weigh them, see what they compare with the new Dr Pulley ones. What a job that was. I'm going to compare the old original Cutman rollers, weight of 14 grams. Compare that with the new Dr Pulley roller sliders. The 13, actually supposed to be 12.5, so they're a little bit lighter. I'm going to just scuff these up a little bit before I put them back on. It's just a case of getting a bit of a grip. Doesn't need much. Same with the bell housing. We'll give it a clean with some brake cleaner, get all the dust out. Okay, time to change these sliders over. I'm actually going to lubricate them with some dry lube first. So we'll take these out. They actually go a certain way. See, the closed side goes to the right and the open side goes to the left, and that's how they wear. Right, so give them a quick clean. Quite a bit of dust in there, I'm surprised. I might have to get the vacuum on them. And same with that, the roller side. Right, Dr Pulley. You're supposed to be able to read Dr Pulley on them, so must go like that. Actually tells you in the instructions there how they go. So as long as you can read Dr Pulley, let me say that or not. Dr Pulley on the top. 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 They're quite stiff, them. Right, okay, well that's how it is. Then put these on. They only go one way, thankfully. Here's our little sliders, which again have got a little bit of dry lube on them. Not a massive amount. And this is go back on without losing those little slider things. It's a bit stiff as well. Alright. So this is where the important washer comes in. Slightly thicker than the original equipment one. Don't know if I can tell that now. I'm not going to measure it, but I think it's more like a 2mm. That goes there. Put the original one in there out the way, nice and safe. So we've got the variator on. We need to get this belt a little bit further down the pulley on the clutch to make it fit better. To do that, you squeeze these together and actually rotate them slightly while putting the belt in the middle. Makes it kind of difficult, so these horrible sharp fans. If you can get it going just a little bit and keep that belt tight. See how it's gone in a bit there. Gives you a bit more space to play with on the variator end. And our fan part of the variator, which I've scuffed up a little bit. Stick that on there, on the grooves. Right, now that fits a lot better. Again, you probably can't tell, but that's because this is quite slack. As this forces around, this belt will move out, which will pull it tight. So I'm not worried about that at the moment. That's all okay. Clutch housing, we've given a little scuff on the inside as well. Cleaned it with some brake cleaner. Should have showed that really, but never mind. That's on there. That's spinning nicely. To get the nut on this variator pulley. Flat washer. Domed washer the correct way with the dome towards. Get the nut on. Nice. So we'll get the torque wrench on that next. Right, the book says between 75 and 83 Newton meters. So for me that's 80, which won't be as much as that was on. 75, 80 Newton meters. I'll see how much I can do without putting the locking it back on again. without locking the variator. Right, so as you can see it's just turning, so we're going to have to lock this variator pulley again. Not what I particularly wanted to do, but since I can't get the power driver onto it, we'll lock this against this pulley housing. Right. Well, it's not going to do it, is it? Because it's just going to slide off all the time. You really do need the correct tool for this. Can't stress enough the importance of correct tools. Because that is just going to slide off all the time. Right, let's have a think about this. So I've put just a straight screwdriver in there, and I've put a little bolt in the transmission. I don't know if you can see that there. I'll be able to show you around here a bit better. In there, straight edge between the fins, which you should never ever do. As that goes round, it's going to catch against that bolt and stop it turning. That's the plan anyway, like that. So let's have a go at that then. So it does hold it, but oh, I don't like it. It's getting tight. Bah, that is tight. Right. Don't like that idea at all, because that's just going to bend that. No, that's not a good idea at all. I've been back at the workbench and I've made another little tool to hold this variator pulley with two little prongs and something to hold it. It's a bit of a mishmash, but it does kind of fit in. Somehow it fits in. And it will locate on the two prongs like that. If the woggly bar get in. Ooh. Right, woggle bar gets in. Right. So now we just need to hold that against something. That's against the knot part of the thread bit. Probably done it too tight. Anyway, and it's 80. Right, so the moral of this story is get the proper tools. It's actually bent, can you see that? It's actually bent one of those pins. So I just used a bolt rather than a strong bit of metal. But it's done the trick. So that's on. Torqued up to 80 Newton meters. It's a lot, 80 Newton meters. We'll get this on now. So, yeah. Whatever you do, don't try and start the engine with everything loose. You'll cause a lot of damage, you might even hurt yourself. Right, time to put the cover on. That's on nicely. We're happy about the pulley and the variator and the belt. I don't think it went on that way, did it? Tell you what, I've got a good idea to take axe out of this stupid design. Why would you design? It's so difficult for such an easy job. The Vespers, it's a 2-minute job this. I guess if you do it plenty enough times you know what you're doing, but Right, we can't be far off there. Just get my little plug out, my little cloth out. And there we go, and we'll put this oil dipstick back in straight away. Right, driven pulley nut, washer, didn't get mixed up because I marked it thankfully. One big nut. Where's my other tool? Oh, there it is, that. Right, now this one is only, let me have a look, 54 to 60 Newton meters. So I'll take that back to 56. No, we'll not, we'll go to 54 to 60, 57. About 57. Right. That's better. Nice satisfying click, that, isn't it? Alright, the cover's back on. Bit of a pain, but we got there eventually, just be patient. Now we're just going to put the case and bolts in. It's not massive importance, but order you put them in. I'm just going to put them all in first of all, and then just as a matter of course really, tighten them up diagonally. And they're not very tight. I'll have to have a look at the actual torque setting. I'll stick it up on the screen, but there's not much in it. Right, that's it. It's on. What a horrible job that was, a pig of a job. Shouldn't be such a bad job, it's just purely because of this stupid thing here, which the Vespa doesn't have. Make sure you get that torque settings right. Use a bit of Loctite on both bolts if you want to. That's it. Just going to put the air sock back on now, and we'll move on to part 3. Next video, which will be the exhaust, which hopefully should be a 5-minute job. But we'll see. Well, thanks for watching as normal, and if you found it useful at all, found it entertaining maybe, just give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Helps me know that I'm doing the right type of videos for you.